All right, so let's say you are rebuilding your dynasty squad.
Come on.
You're starting over, selling assets, getting younger,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to focus towards future drafts to build that championship squad. We are going to bring you 4 players today that we believe are worthwhile to trade if
That's
you are
right.
going to be doing a rebuilding strategy, okay? I'll go with my first one here, and that is Jameson Williams. 2 players I'm going to provide today. I wanted to provide guys that I felt like weren't going to hurt your ability to lose games this year. As weird as that sounds.
No, that
but
makes sense. It definitely
both the
makes
players
sense.
I'm bringing are guys where I was like, like if you're trying to really tank and do it the right way, where you're not actually like sitting great players on the bench, this could potentially help you because these guys won't be able to really contribute too much this year.
Right.
So my first player, like I said, Jameson Williams. Players I would be looking to move for Jameson. And just to be clear, because anytime we talk about trades or opportunities or players to look for in trades and deals, there's always someone who comments, there's no way this deal is going to just like calm down. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of these deals won't work. Some you can get more than
will.
just Jameson Williams in a trade. Some you might have to send some compensation. Okay. I'm just giving ideas. I'm throwing
For sure.
names out.
For sure.
And, looking around crowdsourcing for player values. Okay, so Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
Right.
Now, that list got realistic to less realistic. So if you have these players, again, at the top, Terry McLaurin right now, Mike Evans, specifically, I want to highlight Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette. Those guys specifically, these aging running backs who in redraft, we're still taking top 10, some guys top 5, who will have a lot of value this year, who you can send off to a contender for a piece like Jameson, who is unknown, who has the health concerns. So these are some deals that I would personally be looking to explore. Recently, I'll tell you one that I was able to do. I was able to send Allen Robinson and Damian Harris for Jameson Williams and Alec Pierce.
Okay.
Those people who might not value A-Rob the way we do might see that as or who overvalue maybe. I don't know. Like someone might see that as me getting a huge deal, but I think that was very much a win-win deal. Right. I think it makes sense for the contender. It made sense for me because I wasn't anywhere near contending. And then I saw another trade, just to give you guys examples in our Discord, from a guy named BMac. He's a great supporter of the show. He sent Kareem Hunt and Alec Pierce to the Nick Chubb owner in his league for Jameson Williams and a first. Now, I would say that's pretty unrealistic. Like, he just got an amazing deal. Maybe he's that smooth talker in the league. He knows how to talk people up.
Right.
But I'm giving you examples of deals that have happened. People who are rebuilding, who have been able to make those kind of deals. Giving you players to, kind of look at, and maybe there's players similar on your team that you want to move on from in this rebuild. But let's talk about why I think he's a good player to build around. Number one, I said this before, he can't contribute to wins this year. And, I don't really expect to see him until halfway through the season.
Right.
And I don't have high expectations for his year one. We've talked about this before, right? That being said, I love his draft capital. I love his profile. He was my favorite wide receiver in this class. You guys know that. I don't personally believe that there's anyone else in this class that has the combination. Now, the combination is a keyword, okay? Combination of speed, yak, route running, and big playability, all right? I would say there's individual wide receivers who are better route runners, who have better hands, but I would say as a combination, a threat as a player, I don't think that there is another threat like him in this class. And talking about a team in Detroit who I think they see this as one of the big pillar pieces. They moved up from 32 to 12. That is not an easy feat. That's not moving up 3 spots like the Saints did and gave up an extra first-round pick to do that. This is the kind of move you make for a franchise wide receiver, a guy that you are looking to build your team around. And the modern day NFL is really set up for guys like Jameson Williams to succeed. Yeah. It's all about getting athletes in space. And let's see what these athletes can do.
They wanted him too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you saw that clip of the Detroit Lions when they drafted him.
Did you see Antoine Randall's reaction?
And he just smacking on the desk like, oh,
he was like,
he's so excited. Is Chris Olave? Is Chris Olave? No. put it in it. Call it. You know, like he was so excited. I remember.
Those videos will be fun to look back at in a couple of years, depending on how this goes. But, and the last thing I'll say is Jared Goff isn't a tragedy. Okay. This isn't a tragedy. And Detroit could be quarterback, change. There could be a quarterback change here soon in 2023. But on Goff, he's produced a wide receiver 4, a wide receiver 11, 2 wide receiver 13 finishes, and a wide receiver 14 finish. Okay. Goff is probably not the answer. And that's okay. Okay. Because I don't know about you guys, but this 23 class, I see at least 5 starting quarterbacks, potential starting quarterbacks in this class. 5 guys who I think could go in the first round at this point. So Jameson for me is a guy that I think can transform an offense. This is a player that you draft. An offensive coordinator says, we can build an offense around this player. Okay. So he's someone I'm willing to invest. I think it makes a lot of sense because you want to invest in great players, but you don't want to win games right now. So yeah.
No, I definitely get you. I like where you came from in the take, and it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see him this year. I kind of went the different route. I was looking for guys that were going to give you the opportunity to win some game, but not give you the home run. Take you outside of the top 5. At least in my opinion. Yeah. And my first player is Rashad Bateman, a guy that is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love him for the Baltimore Ravens. So once again, like Zach said, these aren't all players that you're going to be like, hey, like you can do this straight up. Okay. These are going to be players that you can package, you can mix it around a little bit, you can do whatever you like. And it's pretty similar to Zach Slick's actually. I have Terry, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Allen Robinson, DK, James Conner, Alvin, even Antonio Gibson in my eyes, that you could potentially trade for however many pieces, picks, compensations. Don't just do one-on-ones unless you want to. That's really up to you. I don't advise that. But these are the guys that I believe that you can trade away for Rashad Bateman and maybe some more, okay? There's really 3 things that I believe Rashad Bateman can bring to your team, all right? And first one, obviously, is opportunity. I think that's pretty clear of what's happening. Hollywood Brown is no longer on this team, and he is really the wide receiver 1. Outside of Mark Andrews, who is a tight end, but really is Lamar Jackson's number 1 target. He is the wide receiver 1 in this wide receiver room and is, in my opinion, the future. He was a first-round draft pick. Actually, really, really similar to Hollywood, but we can go talk to that in a little bit. I mean, let's really look at last year, in 2021, what Hollywood did. And I think this is the hope and expectations of what we believe and what I believe Rashad Bateman can be, right? In 2021, weeks 1 to 10, we keep saying this and saying this. Hollywood Brown, wide receiver 6, averaging 16 points per game. Okay, that's 8.2 targets per game in that span, weeks 1 to 10. Maybe that's unrealistic, even if we break it down to maybe 6 targets per game or 7 targets per game. That is still, it could be a top 20, top 15 finish. And Lamar Jackson has already proven to you that he is a quarterback worthy of making other people fantasy relevant, right? And number 2 that I kind of touched on it earlier was a draft capital. Hollywood and Rashad Bateman were pretty much identical in their draft story. Okay, they were both first-round picks. Hollywood was a 25th pick in 2018, and Rashad Bateman a 27th pick this past year, or technically in 2020 or 2021. Confused with the dates there, but they're essentially identical. I do believe if you had to put these guys side by side, they do have pros and cons. The first thing I can think of is Rashad Bateman. He is a good manipulator at the line of scrimmage, getting off his route and having a better route tree compared to Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown was a speedster that can stretch the field, where now you have a true route running technician. He was the guy that we loved. He loved his route tree, probably one of the best route tree in that class. And Rashad Bateman is extremely talented. So I think he can open up the field for Lamar and for the future for this Ravens team. And number 3 is Lamar Jackson. He is the guy. I mean, he has one of the most explosive arms and legs in the National Football League. Once again, no doubt he can make Rashad Bateman a top 20 wide receiver. And the reason why we didn't see Rashad Bateman this past year, you're probably questioning, well, he was out with an injury in preseason, which made him take a step back, right? He missed, his whole chemistry that he could have built with Lamar in the offseason. Yeah. Plus, he missed the first 5 games. and then he comes back, and then you kind of see the transition. So obviously you saw Lamar kind of bounce, kind of get injured at the second half of the season, so we couldn't really see them mesh well. I think they really only played like 4 or 5 games together. So a whole offseason together with Lamar Jackson, with a more talented, a better route tree that are similar talents, in my opinion. I like Rashad Bateman and where he's going to be going here. Once again, this is a guy that is probably going to win you games, in my opinion. Right? He's probably could win you games, but not enough to say, hey, he's gonna take the whole roster. Sure. He's gonna carry the whole roster for you. I'm looking for guys right now that maybe you should get right before maybe they even blow up. Right? And then these are the guys that could be the future for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years plus. So I think Rashad Bateman is a perfect opportunity. It might be hard to get him as well. You know, I think this is a guy that's a little bit tough because everyone's thinking this. Rashad Bateman in the new Hollywood, wide receiver 6, Lamar Jackson. What's going to happen? Maybe, especially with the win now teams, if you see Mike Evans and guys needs a wide receiver, he went down, bro. I'll give you Mike Evans for Rashad Bateman. However you want to do it, hypothetically.
Sure. That's
how I'm envisioning it. So this is why I believe Rashad Bateman is a good foundational building piece for you in a dynasty team.
I love Rashad Bateman, and you said it best. I feel like he is one of those guys who right now his ADP in startup drafts is going to be much higher next year. He's not going to decrease in value in my eyes. There's no wide receiver available in free agency that I imagine is going to change his role. So I love that one. And I imagine if you're in the midst of a rebuild, Rashad Bateman's not going to be the reason that you win a ton of games alone. It's okay to have some good pieces, even though I'm giving pieces that won't help this year.
No, for sure.
My next player is going to be very controversial, and I am well aware of that. And I just wanted to say before I start that I in no way condone this player's actions. I don't agree with what he's done. I am disgusted by the things that I've heard. And I just want to set aside the legal part of this for a second. And I'm going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Okay. I understand this is going to be controversial. People won't like this, like I said. But again, let's just set aside the legal part of this for 1 second. And let me just explain to you why I think if you truly are just looking strategically, only strategically, that's the only lens you look through, this could be a move that could be worthwhile. I think every player in Dynasty, there is a threshold where that player at some point becomes a buy low and at some point it becomes a sell high. There's always a threshold on every single player. And I think we're moving into the realm now with Deshaun Watson where he becomes a buy low. Let's look at a couple things. Number one, let's look at his value in the community right now. Now, we refer to crowdsourcing a lot. Keep Trade Cut's a good website. And the reason we refer to crowdsourcing is because it is, the biggest platform for us to see the community's thoughts. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
And Keep Trade Cut has the largest crowdsourcing information. So I'm looking at his rankings at different points on the Keep Trade Cut website. Okay. How about before the trade to Cleveland? He was quarterback 12. After the trade to Cleveland, literally the day after, he went to quarterback 7, jumped 5 spots. Okay. I remember having conversations with people on live streams, Badake, and people were telling me this has to be the 4th quarterback you draft. You got to draft him quarterback 4. He has to be a top 5 pick. These are the type of conversations we were having, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone knows the talent. I felt a little skeptical. I think at that point I said I was debating him and Lamar Jackson. And now today we're sitting here and he is quarterback 17 to 19. Now that has changed in the last couple of days. It's fluctuated. Quarterback 17 to 19. And, I understand this week a lot is going to come out. Maybe I don't have all the information just yet because we haven't heard a verdict yet on his suspension. I assume it's going to be an entire year. But currently, I'm going to tell you the following players in Superflex who are valued around the same as him in Keep Trade Cut, okay? Cam Akers, Alvin Kamara, George Kittle, Derrick Henry, A.J. Dillon, T.J. Hawkinson, Treylon Burks, Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, and Kirk Cousins. Now, there are a ton of players on this list that would be considered win-now assets that I feel if I'm rebuilding, I would be more than happy to send these guys away for the risk reward on a guy like Deshaun Watson. For example, guys like Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Kittle, kind of to an extent. I think Watson has a chance to make a bigger impact for your team in Superflex. Aaron Rodgers is like the most ideal player on this list. If you have guys like Rodgers and Kirk and maybe Brady, who knows, like those are guys I'm absolutely willing to send to a contender who needs to win right now. Monty, Aaron Jones, that list of names there. Again, like we've said before, you're not going to be able to do straight deals with some of these guys. Some players you can get more than just these players. It's worth exploring, but we're talking about a quarterback. Again, we put the legal things aside, the ethical things aside. I understand why this is a touchy subject, but we can't argue the talent. Okay, from a talent perspective, you can argue quarterback 4 to 5. 3 years as a starter. In 2018, quarterback 4. 2019, quarterback 5. And same in 2020, and he only had Will Fuller. Okay. Right. So, and in those 3 years, by the way, completed 68.6% of his passes while having over 100 total touchdowns. Okay. So, as a starter, he has yet to finish outside the top 5. And dude is just a baller on the field. He really is.
He is.
So, and let's talk about the suspension. Again, the more I think about it, the more I feel like Watson is the perfect fit for a rebuilding team. He's only 26 years old. He's not going to be able to help you win games this year. He's going to be suspended probably the entire year. And that really doesn't hurt your team because he's not helping you win games. So then let's say next year, if he's ready to go, well, you still have high picks in the 2023 class. And now you can kind of start to put a contender together. And honestly, this might even speed up your rebuild, because I don't imagine, as much as we love these quarterbacks in this next class, that doesn't mean any of them will ever have the fantasy impact that Watson has proven, right? So I think this is a player that, I understand ethically, legally, it's really icky. And I think a lot of it's disgusting what we've heard. But I just think strategically, I thought it was worth mentioning because of where he's currently being valued, how low it is. I mean, I was able to get Justin Fields in a first-round pick for him earlier in the offseason.
Yeah.
But right now, it's like, there's no way you're getting anywhere near that. And maybe at some point, it does become a buy low.
Mm-hmm. So. I agree. It's tough. You're going to really have to gauge once all the news comes out. But I like to take, and hopefully justice is served. We'll figure out what happens with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, 100%. Whatever justice needs to look like, that's what we want it to be.
All right, my second player in a rebuild standpoint is brother Mac Jones. The reason why I'm bringing him is because he kind of just gets lost, and I think people are so focused, which is fine because I'm focused on it as well. Is mobile quarterbacks, dual threat quarterbacks, and Mac Jones does not fall within that realm of those quarterbacks, and which is okay. But I think I kind of want to encourage other people. It's like, hey, if those guys aren't there, let's not sleep on Mac Jones, okay? These are some players I would say you can potentially trade for. And if you are currently rebuilding: Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Derrick Henry, Travis Kelce, DJ Moore, Terry, and Alvin. Once again, these are all however you want to do that, okay? Not saying straight swaps. I'm just saying however you want to package, put them together. Let's see what happens, all right? For me, when I think about Mac Jones, once again, he gets lost in the ADP. You're probably drafting in that middle round, right? Maybe end of the fifth, early sixth, and you say, "Oh shit, Mac Jones is there."
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, okay, Mac Jones or Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones or Derek Carr, Mac Jones, he's a young quarterback. I guess we'll take him." But I think what we really need to see is the bigger picture. And I think we've all seen it when he first got drafted, but it kind of got lost. So let me remind you, location, where he is currently at on this team, the New England Patriots, probably one of the best head coaches in the National Football League, and Bill Belichick, ever is coaching up the quarterback that everyone is passing up right now. Okay, not only that, they were pretty successful in his first year, 10-7, second in the AFC North. Yeah, AFC North according right behind Josh Allen.
AFC East.
AFC East. Yeah, I was confused. AFC East or North, I can't forgot now.
Yeah.
Behind Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, which is now that's pretty tough to beat, to be completely honest. But I do believe he has everything around him. This team is talented, and I think that's the second point, is that the talent around Mac Jones, I do believe, is there. Is it enough? Probably not, but it's there. Okay, let's look at this lineup: Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, and they did just draft Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah,
these are guys. He's coming in with a good, in my opinion, a decent foundation of talent around him, and it's only going to get better as the years come. Maybe they get another wide receiver in 2023. Maybe they get a wide receiver in free agency next year. I think that's what can help and project Mac Jones to be this great quarterback. And lastly is I kind of call it the mental upside, right? And I'm always hesitant to say this because I don't want to compare him to this guy. Kind of looks like a little Tom Brady, super young Tom Brady. You can see the glimpses of how he has the football IQ. He's not the most talented. He's not the most let me rephrase that. He's not the most mobile quarterback. He has the ability to beat defenses. He has the ability to beat you with his mind. And I think that is what is even more lethal than actually having the mobility like the Lamars, the Zach Wilsons, whoever the case may be, because he is smart and he will beat you on the ground. And in a fantasy perspective, I would say he had a little bit of a breakout. He finished quarterback 18. That's not crazy. But as a rookie to finish quarterback 18, unless you were Joe Burrow, that's just a different level. Yeah, or Justin Herbert, the expectations are kind of skewed from these guys. When before that, quarterback 18, quarterback 15, like, damn, we're looking at that and saying,
good start.
That's a good start. This is what I want, a good foundational piece, one step forward in his first year, and then now another step in his second year. In 2023 for over 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, averaging 14 points per game. Once again, it's not amazing, but I think the price right now, in my opinion, is not terrible, especially if you're trying to, well, obviously we're giving you trade options. So if you're trying to trade for Mac Jones, I think you can get a first or you can send a first.
Sure.
But I am not, I'm not hesitant to say, you know what if you throw a really small piece in there, like an Alvin Kamara in a second to get Mac Jones. I think that is a massive, massive win right now, in my opinion. A Mike Evans and Mac Jones, and whatever the case may be, I think there's no doubt that Mac Jones is going to be taking a next step coming into his second year and for years to come. I do believe he is the quarterback of the future. I can see him being on this New England Patriots team for at least the next 10 years, unless something really dramatic happens.
Sure.
But the consistency, the mental upside, and the talent on this team can really, really give him the foundation, give you the foundation that you need to have a solid quarterback, even if it's QB1 or QB2, however you want to go about it. I think we're all passing up on Mac Jones right now, and the price, I think it's also great. Yeah. And I'm excited to see what he can do this year, because it's gonna go next level, in my opinion.
And I was going to say on Mac Jones, you're buying him right now with the understanding that he doesn't have his franchise piece, offensive weapon yet, right? Doesn't have his Randy Moss. He doesn't have his Gronkowski on the team. He doesn't have that go-to piece yet. I don't believe that's on the team yet. But if we see that next year, if this year, for example, let's say if this year they traded for A.J. Brown, there's no way you're getting Mac Jones at this price.
For sure.
That
could have been anyone.
And it is way less risk. There is more upside with guys like Fields.
Yep.
But there's less risk here with Jones. So I like it. And I think you should feel less intimidated to send draft capital for someone in this system with, this kind of play. So I like it. All right, guys, comment down below. Let us know what you think of these takes. And if there's any trades that you are considering becoming a rebuilding team, we might be able to help out.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.